Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we will bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Five Nigerian foods with more fiber than beans. In Nigeria, beans are widely celebrated as one of the healthiest staple foods that is rich in fiber, protein, and essential minerals. But what if we told you there are Nigerian foods that actually pack more fiber than beans? While beans remain an excellent source of nutrients, several local foods contain higher fiber content and offer unique health benefits you may be missing out on. For people that don't like beans, that's not the only option on the table. There are plenty of high-fiber Nigerian foods that can do even more for your digestive health, weight management, and heart wellness. Here are 5 Nigerian foods with more fiber than beans. Tiger nuts. Tiger nuts are small, crunchy tubers loaded with fiber. In fact, 30 grams of tiger nuts can contain up to 10 grams of fiber, more than beans provide in the same quantity. They are excellent for digestion, help control blood sugar, and double as a healthy snack. Ofada rice. Unlike polished white rice, ofada rice keeps its fiber-rich bran layer intact. A cup of ofada rice provides about 7 grams of fiber compared to 5 grams in beans. It's also a slow digesting carbohydrate, making it ideal for people managing diabetes even with its unique smell. Garden egg. Garden eggs are not just low in calories, they are fiber powerhouse.
Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Ways Breakfast, your front row seat to the conversations shaping our mornings and our nation's future. This morning, we turn our attention to Nigeria's education system, where a major policy shift is stirring both applause and anxiety. The Federal Ministry of Education has announced that mathematics is no longer a compulsory requirement for art and humanities students seeking admission into the Nigeria tertiary institutions. That's right, future students of literature, history, theater arts, and philosophy no longer need a credit in mathematics to qualify for university or polytechnic admission. And according to the ministry, this is part of a broader reform designed to remove barriers and expand access to higher education. A reform that could open doors to an estimated 250,000 to 300,000 additional students every year. But not everyone is cheering. Some education experts warn that removing mathematics from admission requirements might have long-term consequences for analytical thinking, problem-solving skills, and even competitiveness in aptitude tests or future business ventures. So this morning we ask, does this reform truly show access to education, or could it quietly dilute academic standards? Joining me as always are my brilliant co-anchors Triumph Akinboye and Oluchi, the beautiful Omeka. I want to put it as that. As well as our special guest who will be joining us this morning, Dr. Peter Ogudoro, an educationalist, all together ready to help us break this down. Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm sure you're surprised when I took that break.
Yes.
I wanted to add an adjective before calling your
You're always
whole
adding
name.
an adjective every time you want to introduce me. It makes me feel very special. How are you
It
doing?
makes me
Something
I'm
very
doing well.
beautiful. Please, what's with the beret this morning? Goodness.
I just had that inspiration. You know, one
But it
thing
looks
about
really
me
great
is
on
if
you.
I want to
Okay.
probably dress, I usually have that picture in my mind. Okay, if I had this, this is how I'm going to look, or this is how I want to look. So I replicate it.
I love how you look. You look really sharp, like somebody
Aw,
that's
thank you
standing
so
on
much.
business.
I'm blushing.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
Triumph, how are you feeling?
All right.
I don't know, but I'm glad to be here. I'm feeling great. I mean, I've been having to take care of my health since last week, and we're still on it, but I'm very sure, you know, I'm better. Like, I'm here again, so I'm better.
I think
So
it's
I'm
time
happy.
for a vacation for you.
Yeah, I think that's what I need.
Maldives?
Sure.
Maldives, Cairo, where do you want to go to?
Will you pay my ticket?
Of course, that's what I'm asking. Maldives or Cairo? You have 5
Thank
seconds.
God.
5,
Thank
4,
God you all are
3,
my witness.
2, 1, gone.
See?
Maybe I'm not sensitive enough.
You're my witness. You are my witness.
But you didn't
I
pick
am
any
getting
country.
it. Yes, I
You
will.
are my witness.
I mentioned
Yeah.
I give a
Maldives.
countdown.
Why are
right?
you allowing me to go? Let her allow it to go.
Opportunity
So I want
don't just stay
Maldives.
for long. You
Yeah,
get
or
you grab it
Zanzibar.
like that.
Yeah,
1
Zanzibar.
week.
All right,
Yeah, Zanzibar
we'll
is
consider.
cool.
We'll consider.
All right, viewers, let's go on a short break to reflect on a significant event in history. And when we come back, we will look through the papers from today. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and that's a look at today in history. Now let's move on to what's making headlines this morning. However, remember that we love to hear your insights and perspectives on our comment section, and our phone lines are open. Please call us on 070-2500-7749 or 0701-4242-420. If you've yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, click the subscribe button now, like and share this link. Tune in to channel 145 on your GoTV and don't miss this. Right now we move to the news headline section on our newspaper, and we will be starting with The Guardian as Triumph leads with that.
All right, so let us look at what is making headlines in the front page of the Guardian newspaper. The first one here, the screaming headline, Obi articles 2027 bids wobble as defections, internal strife, rock LP, PDP. This is a story you will find in page 6 of the Guardian News. Below that, you're going to see Wike mocks defectors as Diri dumps PDP with 21 Bayelsa lawmakers. This is the time where we are going to see people, you know, moving from one party to the other, and I am interested. I am so interested because I am looking forward to seeing, you know, more key people, maybe people who want to contest, some of these politicians that want to contest. I want to see more of them, you know, moving from one party to the other. So all these things are causing internal strife, you know, lots of defections. But I think this is something that is bound to happen. Okay, so so a story you would find in page 3 of the Punch News, which is also my story of interest. Senate screens Amokpito as INEC chairman today. So a story you would find in page 20 of The Guardian. Katsina government not part of community's negotiation with bandits. This is coming from Radar. Another story, Nigeria's revenue to output ratio may drop to 9.2% by 2030, IMF warns. Let's not do business news today. There's just so much. Whenever I see, we'll drop. Why are you already saying it will drop by 2030? Wait now, this is just 2020. This is just 2025 that we are in. But anyways, and then, some other stories that we're having. But because of our time, let me just take my story of interest, which is Senate screens Amokpito as INEC chairman today. We know that Amokpito has been announced, the INEC chairman. However, today the Senate are going to be screening him. In their words, they want to do some thorough checks, as regards Amokpito, Professor Joash Amokpito. Now, according to what they're saying, this will be watched nationwide because it will set the tone for electoral reforms to test the administration's commitment to credible polls ahead of the 20. Now, I am seeing 2027 general elections. Is it that, all these news sources, they are not following what's going on in Nigeria?
Because we saw 2026.
2026. So why are they saying 2027 election? I think people are not just used to it yet.
Yes.
And some other people are not, you're not yet informed that general elections are actually going to be happening next year. So fingers crossed. There is so much, Amokpito has to do. There are elections coming up, 2026. It doesn't even have to 2027, for preparations of the general elections, beyond some other elections that will be going on in some states. So fingers are really, really crossed to see the things that would be happening, with INEC, and how they would be able to buy back, the trust that has been lost.
Very
so
important.
That is what we are really, really looking forward to. What I am looking forward to with Amokpito.
I like how the Guardian puts it. Says this particular screening sets the tone for electoral reforms, because we know that with the INEC itself, people always put their eyes on them when elections come up. People criticize some of their processes. So if we can start from the head, screen things, see how it is done publicly, it somehow helps to alleviate the mistrust that is in our heart. And of course, this mistrust will really be alleviated when we see the results of every electoral, practice and all. So I think it's time for my papers, right?
Yeah.
Before I go to the New Telegraph, there's this particular story that has been trending. I would have said it during our banter, but I think people need to be aware of it. This is a call to safety. So I saw this on a blog, right? And it said, if you order a ride and you see him, so there was a picture of a particular man that was displayed for a particular...
Tell us his name.
Well, I don't want to say the name here because I do not know the source of this particular story. But it's still something to talk about because this is not the first time I'm seeing stories like this with all these popular cab drivers or what they call them. This like the InDrive, the Bolt, the Uber, and all of them. We're hearing stories of some of these drivers that are becoming very dangerous to people. This is not the first time. So the fact that this was even reshared amongst different people needs us to really caution. And my own plea this morning is not even for the cautioning part as, the people who are patronizing these people, but for the companies themselves. How do you profile these drivers? How do you pick people that become drivers? I've heard of stories of people who will stop on the 3rd mainland bridge, rob their clients, people who they are driving, stab them, sometimes even rape them. These stories don't even get to the headlines as we expect them to get, right? But this is a call for safety. This is a call for caution. And I'm really hoping that these drivers or the people in charge of these companies really profile their drivers really well so that Nigerians will be safe. And of course, safety is going to be in your hands as well. So let me quickly take you through the Telegraph. Very, very short details here. It says Nigeria's inflation rate drops to 18%. This is the lowest since 2022. Highest in Ekiti, in Rivers, Nasarawa, lowest in Bauchi, Niger, and Anambra. Above that, we see defections 2027. I'll be between the people and APC, and this is from ADC. Critics of my decision to work with Tinubu now rushing into APC. From Wike, a leader of Madagascar military rebellion, says he's taking position of president. Okay, we have another story here. It says Tinubu mourns as ex-Kenyan PM Raila Odinga dies in India. And the last story is federal government approves 28 billion naira for prepaid meters to cover Band A and Band B customers. I cannot stretch the stories beyond what I've said. But of course, if any of them catches your interest, you can head on to the New Telegraph and check the details of the story. Yeah, that's all I have.
All right, so I won't be able to take my story because of the time,
Okay.
right? The time is fast spent. So we'll go on a short break right now, and when we return, we'll be joined by Dr. Peter Ogudoro, an educationalist, to really talk on our topic today that says new curriculum reforms, the implications of removing mathematics for arts admission. Please stay tuned. Welcome back, our dearest viewers. And now we're moving straight, as always, to the climax of today's Ways Breakfast. And our topic is the new curriculum reforms, the implications of removing mathematics for art admissions. And joining us now is Dr. Peter Ogudoro, an educationalist. Good morning, sir.
Morning. You're looking really great this morning.
Oh, thank you for the compliment. I'm glad to
Dr. Peter actually made me smile.
Oh, boy. Thank you so much.
All of you are all wonderful, great. Are you celebrating something? Who is doing birthday?
We are celebrating this new reform, sir, because we were once art students and we knew how mathematics dealt with us. So we're really happy
well,
with the new
different perspective, but let's get into
Myself
it.
too. Yes. So going straight to our conversations today. So for decades, Nigerian students, whether in science, social science, or the arts, have faced one common hurdle, which is the mathematics. But now the Ministry of Education says no more for arts and humanities students. And according to the new national guidelines, English language remains mandatory across all disciplines. But mathematics is only compulsory for science, technology, and social science programs. So this change affects universities, polytechnics, and even College of Education nationwide. So the Education Minister, Dr. Tunji Alausa, says it is a deliberate effort to expand access to higher education and ensure that more young Nigerians, especially those with talent in creative and humanistic fields, get a fair chance to learn and succeed. And he explained that while over 2 million candidates sit for UTME each year, only about 700,000 get admitted. And this new reform could create room for hundreds of thousands or more. And however, opinions are split. We always have two sides of every conversation. So an education analyst like Ayodamola Oluwatoyin hailed the decision as a brilliant reform that will open doors and ease admissions for many students. But others are cautious, pointing out that while mathematics may be tough, it also sharpens reasoning, logical thinking, and problem-solving skills that are useful in every field, even the arts. So some worry this change, could create an unfair platform where an art student sits for general aptitude tests, most especially after graduation, so alongside their peers from other disciplines who will require maths. Others argue that while maths numeracy remains essential, shouldn't block access to it, especially in areas like budgeting, statistics, and every business management. So now I'm asking you this morning, does removing the maths from admission requirements truly empower students, or does it risk weakening foundational learning?
So, are you coming to me now?
Yes, sir. So I was asking that, does this, removing the maths from admission requirement, does it truly empower students, or does it risk weakening foundational learning?
Well, first we have to try and be sure that the decision to make mathematics unnecessary for young people who are trying to get into university to study art courses, that decision was based on evidence. I'm not absolutely sure because the major reason advanced is to expand access. And because the minister says, for now, we are giving access to just about 35% of those who try to get into university. And the way he thinks we can get around it is to remove what he sees as a barrier, in this case, mathematics. But we don't seem to have evidence that completely makes it obvious that that is the major challenge Nigerian children are having, because so many people, young people, do actually have credit in mathematics, still write UTME and don't get access. So this is not likely to be the major challenge that we have in that sector. Beyond that, we have to interrogate the value of mathematics in life. We know that no matter what it is that you do, you need some level of numeracy. And the mathematics you do at the ordinary level in secondary school is the basic mathematics you need to be able to pull through in life, no matter what you're doing. Whether you are a guardian, a specialist, a counselor, a psychologist, you need some level of numeracy. Even if it's English language you're studying, you need some level of numeracy because, as you know, in your final year in school, everybody is required to do a project. And most of the time, you need to collect data and do the analysis. So at least simple statistics, you need to be able to do the analysis and present data in a meaningful way. And we know that the process of trying to understand mathematics has a way of developing your capacity to think logically, your capacity to think analytically, your capacity to be more critical than you would have been if you didn't have mathematical tools. And so I'm not sure that this decision was well chosen because we have no evidence that backs it up, really. And globally, it's not the norm. The minister himself, for many years, lived in the US, and he knows that that society is coming from. It's a society where, to get access into the university, the major standard exam every United States citizen writes is called SAT, Scholastic Aptitude Test. And there are two major subjects that are involved there. One is evidence-based reading and writing, which in our climate we will call English language, and then there is math. And so no matter what you're going to study in the US university, you are required to write mathematics because everybody knows that it has a way of compelling you to learn how to think logically. And maybe one of the reasons why we have not been doing well as a people is probably the fact that we haven't invested in mathematics. And when we think that the reason why some young people are not getting to university because they are not able to pass maths, we should ask a more fundamental question. That question is, why are Nigerian children struggling with mathematics? Most of the time, the answer has a lot to do with how mathematics is taught and not the lack of natural capacity to learn it. And so we must be able to put all of the variables on the table so that we can take appropriate decisions that favor us, that make life better for even the people you think you are trying to help.
All right. Thank you so much for that question.
Yeah, sure. Dr. Peter, thank you so much for helping us, understand this foundationally. I'm going to start firstly by saying I was really excited to see this news. And that's because from an experiential point, I really struggled with mathematics in secondary school. I would have gotten into the university in 2017, but the only paper I didn't pass was my mathematics. And I was one of the brightest in my school when it comes to other subjects. But maths just seemed to have been just difficult for me to comprehend. And of course, the basic grade needed, at least to scale to the next phase, is at least a C. But I think I got a D7, and I was like, God, how can I pass this math hurdle? In fact, when I eventually passed math, it was even a C6, to tell you that it was a narrow escape. Just get into this school, you this girl that don't know math. So I was really excited to see, this not hampering some art students from getting into the university. But again, they've spoken about analytical thinking, and it leads me to ask, can there be alternatives to helping art students like me that do not like mathematics still become great analytical thinkers without the conventional mathematics that we're used to? Because maybe primary and basic maths can be great for analytical thinking. It's just simple for basic, day-to-day living. But sometimes there's the technical part of that maths that seems to just be difficult to comprehend. I'm not going to deny all those indices till now, sir. I still don't know it. And I don't think I'll ever know it. But of course, analytical thinking is why people are clamoring that this shouldn't be taken away from the curriculum and, of course, the syllabus. But are there alternatives, as one who is an educationalist, of other subjects that can help improve analytical thinking in students, apart from maths?
Well, if you have listened to yourself well while you were talking, you have confirmed that you eventually did earn a credit in mathematics. So the reason why you earned the D the first time was not necessarily because you lacked the natural capacity to learn it. It had a lot to do with how mathematics was introduced to you. Okay. As a matter of fact, what we are doing now is to further reinforce the idea that mathematics is difficult by removing it from the list of subjects that our students have to pass. And that is not a good thing for our society. We shouldn't make children who haven't even approached mathematics for the first time believe that it is a difficult course, it is a difficult subject. As I have already told you, one of the reasons why our education system has been struggling is the fact that we haven't paid attention to pedagogy. Pedagogy has a lot to do with the techniques of teaching. Nigerian teachers are not very good at teaching most of the subjects they are in the classroom to teach, especially the sciences, and that's why those sciences come across as difficult. I give you an example of my own children. I have 2 children. At some point in primary school, both of them were struggling with mathematics. It was looking like they were never going to be able to do well in it. But because I'm an educationist, I interrogated their circumstance and discovered their problem had to do with the fact that the person teaching them mathematics was like, the average Nigerian teacher who probably studied the English language and had a classroom to run, and so didn't have the capacity to teach them mathematics well. So what I did was to hire a teacher who was coming home to teach them mathematics. And in only one term, I fixed the problem. They moved from the bottom of their class to the top of their class. Really. As we speak today, the younger of my 2 children is studying physics and mathematics in the United States University, and he's at the top of his class. And that's somebody who used to be at the bottom. But a good math teacher changed his circumstance. So if I wasn't involved in that situation, we would have written him off and say he is not good in math. Most of the people who have concluded that they are not good in math are people who, if you give them the right teacher, they will do well in mathematics. So rather than say, we don't need mathematics, we should be saying, let us incentivize young people who are smart to go and study mathematics education, and then send them to schools to go and deal with that fundamental problem we seem to be having. Because we do need more Nigerian children, even those in the sciences, to learn mathematics better. Because I can tell you, even those studying engineering still struggle with maths. And it has nothing to do with their lack of capacity to learn it. It has more to do with how their teachers teach mathematics. Even me, who is not a mathematician, sometimes I sit down in the place where mathematics is being taught, and it's obvious to me that this teacher doesn't know how to teach maths. And sometimes when I intervene in the matter, the students understand it better when I help them to get through the problems that a teacher who probably has a master's in mathematics is trying to get them to understand. So we haven't diagnosed our problem properly. and we are chasing shadows. We are applying the wrong pill to a problem that probably we haven't diagnosed effectively. So that's the way to look at it. You did pass mathematics eventually. That's proof that if you were fortunate enough to have a good math teacher from kindergarten, you probably today will be a professor of mathematics. It has nothing to do with your capacity to learn it. In terms of innate ability.
Sir, what do you call a good math teacher? Because in my secondary school, I think I had a good math teacher because I had people in my class that were exceptionally good with this same subject, mathematics, that I seem to have struggled with. So I'm wondering if it was a me problem or if there are some students like me that maybe naturally understanding this whole analytical process doesn't work beyond the maths teacher helping. Because I had really great maths mind in my school, but I just seem to be the only one amongst a few others who did not eventually grasp this. So I feel like that C6 was really let my people go kind of great. Please go ahead,
okay,
sir.
So, but did you earn that 6 by cheating?
I earned it by having to study beyond normal, stretching myself beyond the normal capacity. And, of course, praying and
that's exactly what mathematics... So you are not getting it. That's what mathematics is supposed to get you to learn how to do. Mathematics teaches you resilience. Mathematics teaches you the capacity to think outside the box. That's exactly what you did. And that's what we want to introduce to our educational space. So that children don't just think that life is a roller coaster where you just, wake up and you set up a business and the following day you become a multimillionaire. That's not how life works. Okay. Mathematics helps you to learn resilience. Mathematics helps you to learn delayed gratification. Mathematics teaches you hard work. Mathematics teaches you to learn to take time. Mathematics teaches you to pray. Mathematics teaches you to, to be patient. And that's exactly what happened in your case. And that's the value we should be promoting. We are not living in a society where young people are patient. We are not living in a society where young people want to work hard. Young people just want to set up something, on the internet, and in 2 days, they have become multimillionaires. And that's not the way to go. We have to all learn delayed gratification, and mathematics helps you to do that. When you put in the hard work, you got the right result. And now, if you don't do my kind of work as an educational researcher, you can just come up and say, every other person in my class was great at mathematics, or maybe 50% they were doing well, they were great math minds. Did you investigate to find out why they were doing better than you? I just gave you the example of my children. My children at some point were at the bottom of their class in mathematics. So they could have been written off as people who were struggling in math, but there were children in that same class who were doing better than them. And other things being equal, what made the difference in those children's case would have been the fact that their parents also had mathematics, had lesson teachers who were coming home to teach them. And when I applied the same solution, my own children moved from the bottom of the class to the top of their class. And today, one of them is actually a major in mathematics. That's why he's studying. He's a world-class person in math. He's actually a math tutor in the university where he studied in the US, and he's paid for that. And that's somebody who was going to be written off as somebody who didn't know what he was doing in mathematics. So, so if you have people in your class who have been taught at home, when they come into the class, they shine, and you think that it was a natural ability. No, it was because somebody was propping them, up at home. And when they now come to class, they manifest. And because you are a child, you didn't know what was enabling them to pass. You just concluded that they had a natural ability, to be better than you in mathematics. That's not likely to be true. And we find this across all educational systems. In Asia, it's similar circumstance. Parents hire good math teachers to come and teach their children, and that's why the Asians do very well in math. If you go to American universities where a lot of Asians, study engineering and software, kind of things, you find that Asians do very well. It has nothing to do with they are more intelligent than Africans. It's just the fact that they put in the effort, and that hard work pays. And we see Chinese in Nigeria, and we see them come here and dominate our business space. Why are they able to do that? It's because they have learned through the education system, which compelled them to learn how to do maths. And so they carry that value into other spaces, and you see them, they go into places Nigerians are afraid to go into. And in a short while, they become, people who are raking in millions on a daily basis, whereas Nigerians sit there and they are complaining about their country. So we need to run a system that promotes good values. Mathematics helps you to learn hard work, it helps you to learn patience, it helps you to learn delayed gratification. And you don't have to come from a family of wizards to learn it. You only need very good teachers. So don't assume that your teachers were very good because you didn't have the capacity to learn, to understand whether your teachers were good or not. That somebody knows something doesn't make him somebody who can teach it. Most of the time, what deceives us into thinking that people know certain subjects because they can discuss it well. But when it comes to teaching other people what they know, a lot of people fall short. And that's what we find in the case of maths and other STEM courses. Most of the people teaching them know them, but they have not been taught how to teach them to other people. So our education system, especially those who are operating at the decision-making level in terms of policy formulation, should be humble enough to recognize that we have not been able to pour significant resources into training good teachers, getting them to acquire the techniques for teaching so that they can run engaging classrooms that make our children look forward to coming to school. At the moment, we are falling short there, and we are running away from that responsibility. And that is not good for us, because if we run away from this one, tomorrow we are likely to say that English language is a difficult subject, and we also run away from it. And then children become, people who cannot effectively communicate their ideas to others. And that's, how societies fail.
All right, thank you so much, Sha. There's even a comment in our section that says, this is from Nikon. It says, I scored C in mathematics through cheating. My elder brother helped me, though, because he knows I hated mathematics, so I helped him with English while he helped me with my maths exams, right? That's very interesting, Nicole. That's a funny one. Well, I totally understand the point of view from our doctor. Severally, we've had a lot of students that had to take extra lessons to, get this subject. All right, before we continue, we'd like to take a break, and please do stay with us. Welcome back to our Ways Breakfast this morning. Of course, on this table, we're talking on the implications of not making mathematics mandatory for art students to get admission into the university. And of course, I'm still with my guest, our guest, Dr. Peter Ogudoro, pardon me. And yes, this is leading me straight to Amir Hassan. In a world driven by data and digital literacy, can any student, even in the arts, afford to be mathematically illiterate?
Yeah, so you can see, you even have an idea that we live in a time when it's not a good idea for anyone to think that mathematics is not something that one should invest in. In the digital space, you need data to take decisions. So everybody needs to learn how to mine data. Everybody needs to learn how to analyze data. We don't all have to become experts in it. But for you to operate in the digital space, you need to have basic numeracy. Because if you are going to run a business of any kind, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you need to be able to collect information about your customers and do basic analysis to understand what segments of the market you should focus on. If you look at us in Nigeria today, you discover that a lot of people don't stay tuned to the businesses they are doing. They try this today. After 2 weeks, the thing hasn't started producing millions. They shut down the shop and they go into something else. After 1 month, they shut down that one. They go into another thing. Why? Because they don't do feasibility studies. They don't try to find out who the customers are, what they like, what their needs are, what they are willing to pay for, how much they are happy to spend, to be able to consume a particular product, and where, these people hang out and how they live their lives, what they don't also like. So all of those things will require the capacity to think analytically, the capacity to think in a numerate way. So in the absence of numeracy, it's difficult for anybody to want to become rich in the digital space, unless we want young people in Nigeria to go back to the analog era. And we can't go back there because the world has left there and is never going to go back there. And if we are discouraging our children from doing what the rest of the world seem to be doing, what we are saying is that they are not deserving of the great life that digital literacy provides. And I don't see how you are going to be able to mine data, analyze, and use information coming from all over the world if you don't have basic literacy. As a matter of fact, even as a man or a woman operating in the kitchen, you need to be able to do calculations. When you're preparing your recipe for a great meal, you have to do calculations. How many cups of water, how many, seeds of pepper, how many grains of this, how many that will give you. And that's why if you go to hotels, they don't do as much thinking as other people do, because everything has been worked out mathematically. And then you just, deliver those things into the pot. And after a short while, you get a great meal and you eat it. But unfortunately for us, we are discouraging young people now from thinking in that line. And we are saying, no, right from kindergarten, just know if you think your maths is not your stuff, don't worry about it. No, it's too early to start telling our children that. We can't afford to move in that direction because in the digital environment, we are not going to be able to compete effectively if we get a lot of Nigerian children to believe that maths is not their stuff.
Dr. Peter, it's so interesting that art students will not agree to the fact that they will need mathematics to be able to do the simple 2 + 2. And it brings me to talk about, beyond mathematics, there's some other subjects. We have subjects like biology. While I was in secondary school, by the time I was getting into SS1, I went to art class and I was told that I would not need biology. So I did not do biology at all. So I am not doing biology. Now, let us imagine maybe in a school like mine, because I attended a federal government school. So presently, you will not be offering biology, and then mathematics will not also be considered important. So the kind of preparation that I would normally have for, a subject like mathematics, I would not be able to have that kind of preparation. So it feels like we're already removing the most important things. The reason why I'm calling biology and maths very important is because it took me a lot to... There's one word that I used to say when I was like in IICT. I would say something like, it is even by the grace of God that I know the parts of my body. Because I did not do biology, there's some basic things that I am supposed to know while growing up about myself that I did not know because biology was somehow eliminated because I am an art student, which I agree that in a way it affected me because there's some basic knowledge that you're supposed to have about biology that I do not have. Now, the federal government is embarking on this. The Minister of Education is embarking on this. That ministry is embarking on removing mathematics. Are we not beginning to say that, okay, these subjects, these key subjects, maybe they are not important, but because if you would ask me, I can, these things are they affected me, and it will also affect some other students, because even if you are saying that, okay, maybe when they want to write their SSCE exam, it is not important, you're already putting it out in public. That means you're also saying that they should not prepare as much as they would for mathematics. They should not be as serious. Yeah. Mathematics is already a thing, so they would not be interested in a class where then we used to have some studies, maybe something like home economics. They would say home economics is not compulsory. I know the attitude of students to those kinds of subjects. So is it that these subjects are no longer key? Talk about biology, talk about mathematics, talk about agric education, because these are some subjects that are removed from arts then, saying that, okay, you are now in art class, you're not supposed to be offering these kind of subjects.
Yeah, so you are thinking properly, and what I'm hearing you say is that the conclusion while you were in secondary school was that those of you who were not going to study medicine, pharmacy, and related biological sciences are people who don't have the capacity to learn biology. But you know that was a wrong conclusion, because you could have, learned biology if you had a good biology teacher. There's nothing so difficult in biology. But a lot of people also tell you, I'm not good in biology, and so they just write it off and walk away. We can't be living our lives like that. We need to learn resilience. That's what the education system is meant to instill on every one of us. That things are difficult does not mean that they are impossible. Most things in life that lead you to greatness are difficult. But it is in facing those challenges and overcoming them that you become a great person. That's the truth of the matter. Go and look at all the people who have created, even this opportunity we're having for me to stay in faraway Ikeja, and for you to be wherever you are, and we are having this banter and we're affecting our world. The reason why it's possible is because of people who demonstrated resilience, who invested in studying maths, who invested in studying chemistry, physics, to be able to give us the opportunity to interact using the digital space. So I agree with you completely. In senior clients, there are basic things everybody needs to learn, whether you are going to become a professor in that or not. We should all learn basic science. We should all learn basic numeracy. We should all learn how to communicate. And we know that sometimes two engineers have argued that they are not going to be mass communication experts. Why are we requiring them to study English language? If you know engineering and you are not able to communicate yourself well as an engineer, you won't make money, because the people whose houses you're going to build want to understand what you're saying. You need to be able to interpret technical jargons in ways that make ordinary people understand them, in ways that make amateurs, laymen to understand them, and that's what puts money in your pocket. So when we start saying, because you're not going to study engineering, you don't need English, we are shortchanging our people. And when we start saying, because you're not going to study physics and engineering, you don't need mathematics, we are shortchanging our young people. We are not doing them any favor. We are actually, cutting our nose to spite our face. We are just chasing immediate term gains at the expense of, our tomorrow. And when the minister says they are doing this because they want to get more people into university, have we not been producing graduates for ages? How many engineers have we produced from our university system who are today doing engineering work? Because they are not doing engineering because we haven't got factories. And many of the people who have graduated from engineering schools in Nigeria will tell you that they didn't understand what they were teaching them, even when they still were the first class. Sure. So it's the quality of teaching. We should be campaigning for quality of graduates, not quantity. We should be less concerned about how many university graduates have we produced, and be more concerned about how great are the engineers we are bringing out of our university system. Go to Singapore. It's a very small country. The engineers who are making Singapore great, the few people who are running that system are making it great. They are not up to the population of Ikeja. Nigeria is a country of about 250 million people, and we have so many people who are parading certificates that have to do with sciences, including engineering. And where are we? Our roads are bad, electricity fails, internet access is problematic. So it shouldn't be about quantity. Don't just get more people into university. Get the university system to be run in a way that ensures that once you go through it successfully, then we can trust you to solve the problems that your certificate says you can solve. That is not where we are. Why are we trying to compound that problem by even ensuring that the little thing that makes some people even come out and look like they have gone to school, that is also being removed. And that certainly is a decision that I think we need to re-examine.
All right, Dr. Sao, I really got a very insight on what you've said. And right now we have a comment for you on our comment section. It says from Opeyemi Opeyagbe, good morning, Ways, great conversation. I would want to ask though, for someone who will become a dancer or an actor, the reality is that they don't need maths. So doesn't it make it a good policy?
I mean, before Dr. Peter, before you answer this question, because I was also going to talk about, we are already abandoning, let's not deceive ourselves. The Nigeria we are in right now, we are already beginning to see reasons to abandon the traditional means of education, which is becoming a problem. And that is what Opeyemi Opeyagbe is saying. So how do we balance these things and the mindset of people, especially the mindset of the generation we are having now? Because they are beginning to see less and less and less like quality in basic education.
Yeah, so for an actor or a dancer, the reality is that really they don't really need math. So this, one of our audience says that doesn't this policy look good for those people?
Yeah, you see the problem? Somebody is making an assumption and presenting it as a fact.
Peter.
How did the person come to the conclusion that a dancer and actor does not need mathematics? They probably need it even better more than engineers. Because for you to be able to even plot how fast you move on stage as a dancer, you need some level of nuances. Film A versus film B. Film A versus film B. Which one fared better? And by the time you do an analysis, you'll be able to reach conclusion as to what people like to watch. And that's how come, for example, if you monitor a lot of musicians we have today in Nigeria, those of them who have some level of numeracy, they are using it to make money, okay? Whether or not what they are doing is right is a different kettle of fish. But let's look at what they are doing. If you go and check music that they are producing for us, virtually in every music you find young people who are dancing and almost nude. How did they come to that conclusion that that's what people like? They did research and they produced music A. And everything was, everybody wearing dresses as if they are in church. And then they produce music B, and everybody's wearing dresses and looking like, people who want to go and do some funny things. At the end of the day, they discovered that even though people complain about people who are close to nude, that is what they want to watch. And they keep dishing it out, and they are making money. Go and look at that. Do analysis regarding people who are producing music. What music says in Nigeria? How did they come to the conclusion that they have to continue to do what they're doing? It's numeracy, okay? So we need to teach our children properly. People shouldn't just sit down there and conclude that they don't need maths. Everybody does need it. No matter what you're doing, you need maths to be able to think, do analysis, and make decisions as to what works for you today and probably in the future.
Dr. Peter, they're also paying the people that will help them with the calculations, right? They make the money.
All right, thank you so much,
definitely.
Dr. Okay.
You may pay people to do some things for you, but the truth is that if you don't know the basics, people will sell dummies to you, and then you fall for it.
Sure.
Thank you
sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peter. Yes, and that's an educationalist who had shared a broader light on today's topic. Yes, thank you so much, sir. And at the end of the day, education reform should be about balance, access without compromise, inclusion without dilution. Making mathematics non-mandatory for arts admission might open doors for many deserving students, but it must not close the door to analytical growth and competence. Perhaps the real goal should not be about removing mathematics, but about reteaching it differently, making it more practical, relatable, and less of a nightmare for students in the arts. Because no matter your discipline, science, arts, or trade, the ability to think critically and solve problems remains the true equation for success. Do ensure you follow us on all social media platforms and join the conversation using the hashtag WaysBreakfast. I'm Goodness Ide, and on behalf of the team, thank you for starting your morning with us. See you tomorrow, same time. Stay curious, stay informed. Bye.